Hi, I'm Regular Zach, and this is my limited set review for the Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy set, and today we are talking all about the bonus sheet. So the bonus sheet is a sheet that goes into 1/3 of every packs. So 1 in every 3 packs you will get one of these 64 cards. And so it's going to be important for the draft format for us to talk about them and look at them. They are all reprints with new art, all Final Fantasy skinned, and they have Final Fantasy skinned names as well. But they're all cards that we've seen before. So yeah, very exciting stuff, and also some really cool artwork, chase artwork for sure. So excited to have some of these, but also I think they're going to affect the draft format quite a bit because 1 in 3 drop for bonus sheet is pretty high. Just remember, this is a limited set review, so we're only talking about these cards in the context of limited, which is draft and sealed. So we're not really interested in standard because these aren't legal in standard, and commander, they've been legal in commander for a long time, so nothing new about any of that stuff. We will be putting everything on a rating scale from A to F. So A's are bombs. These are amazing cards. These are the best cards in your deck, the ones that win you the game kind of on the spot, and the cards that you show off to all your friends. B's are cards that actively pull you into the colors that they are. Think of this as like picks 5 or 6. You see this card and you're like, oh, that must be open. And you take it because you're like, oh, well, that's where my seat should be. Let's start taking these white cards or whatever. C's are solid cards. They're perfectly fine. The majority of your deck is going to be a bunch of C's, and yeah, they do their job and they're good, but you're not extremely excited by them, but they help you win. D's are bad. These are actively cards that you would like to keep out of your deck, and if you do play any D's, you're pretty upset and you're hoping you don't have to play any of them. And then F's are stone unplayable. These are cards that don't actually work in the format that you're playing. We might have a few of these in this set just because the bonus sheets often have kind of big hits and big misses just because they want to get cards that are good for other formats in there. So we're going to start right off with Firion Swordmaster, which is actually SRAM Senior Edificer. It's 1 and a white for a 2/2 legendary creature dwarf advisor, and whenever you cast an aura, equipment, or vehicle spell, you draw a card. All right, so I think that SRAM will be pretty good in this draft format. Like, there are a ton of artifacts. There aren't really any auras, that's one thing. But there's a ton of artifacts as far as like equipment, and there are some vehicles. But the job select deck already wants to be playing a bunch of equipment that turn into creatures, and this helps you fuel your entire deck. So a turn 2 SRAM could be extremely scary in this format, and I think that if you see this early, you might want to take it and go right into that Boros deck. So I'm gonna give this like a B+. It's not a bomb, but I think it will actually be pretty playable, and you'll happy to have this card. Next up, we have the Imperial City of Arcades, which is actually Wall of Omens. It's 1 and a white for an 0/4 creature wall with Defender, and when this creature enters, you draw a card. In white, I think we'd rather have this in maybe blue or green, so it's not really what the white decks want to be doing. I guess you could sacrifice it. You already drew the card, so maybe the white-black decks will kind of like this. So at the very least, it does just draw you a card. It replaces itself, but it doesn't attack, and I think most white decks want to deal some damage. So this is like a C-. It's still playable, but I'm not in love with Wall of Omens. Next up, we have Garnet Alexandros the 17th, which is actually Lauren of the Third Path. So it's 2 and a white for a 2/1 legendary creature, human artificer with vigilance. It says when Lauren of the Third Path enters, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment, and you can tap it, and you and target opponent each draw a card. Standard All-Star, really great card. Super strong, and there are a bunch of artifact and enchantment targets, so this will actually blow up a bunch of stuff. It blows up summons, it blows up all their artifacts or their vehicles, all the equipment, things like that. And then actually drawing the cards does come in handy every once in a while. So you know what, I like Lauren in this. The 2/1 body is kind of hard because if it comes down, it blows up their job select equipment. They're left with a 1/1, and then you kind of can't attack, so that sucks. But ultimately, I think the fact that it just comes down and shoots something is nice. We'll probably give this it's probably like a B-, where it will probably hit something majority of games. I think you'll probably be able to hit something. So Sweet. Having Lauren in the set's pretty awesome. Next up, we have Squall Lionheart, which is Danitha Capuchin Paragon, which is 2 and a white for a 2/2 legendary creature human knight with first strike, vigilance, and lifelink. And aura and equipment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. It really just says equipment spells for the context of limited. So making your job select cards a lot cheaper is nice. Making your legendary equipment, if you have any, cheaper is very nice because most of those are pretty expensive. First strike, vigilance, lifelink on a 3-mana 2/2 is already strong, and if you get to suit it up, it's pretty good. Ultimately, we're probably looking at like a B- though. Once again, this wants to go in the Boros deck, but in the Boros deck, I think it's pretty strong, and being able to put your equipment onto this thing is nice. Very scary. So B- for Danitha. Next up, we have Hero of Light, which is actually Adeline Resplendent Cathar, which is 1 white for a star for a legendary creature human knight with vigilance. Hero of Light's power is equal to the number of creatures you control, and whenever you attack for each opponent, create a 1/1 white human creature token that's tapped and attacking that player or planeswalker they control. Of course, this really just means it's a 3-mana 1/4 that when you attack, it makes another creature that's tapped and attacking, and it becomes a 2/4 for the turn. However, this card's very strong, and making tokens every time you attack is a really strong ability, especially on something that, like, this coming down on 3 is very scary, and it goes really wide very quickly if you can't handle it. Because a lot of times you kind of want to just block the Adeline, or you block the token and she still deals like the damage, and you play more creatures and then Adeline gets huge. I think this card's very good. The white is the hardest part about this, but everything else, like making cardboard, having creatures, this is like an A- level card. I'm scared to see this across the battlefield, and it's like a must kill when you see it. Next up is a Knight of Sandioria, which is actually Ranger Captain of Eos. It is 1 white for a 3/3 creature human soldier ranger, and says when this creature enters, you may search your library for a creature card with mana value 1 or less, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. And it also has an activated ability. You can sacrifice this creature. Your opponents can't cast non-creature spells this turn. Okay, a 3-mana 3/3 that gets you a 1-drop is fine. I don't love the 1-drops that we have at our disposal. I don't know which 1-drop of what color we're really excited to have with this card, and sacrificing this creature to make it so your opponents can't cast non-creature spells is not nearly as important in limited, because most of the cards that you're worried about are permanent spells, or creature spells at least. I guess no, so it says non-creature, so they can't cast any sort of job select stuff, but ultimately I think that this kind of wraps up into probably like a D-level card. It does give you a creature, but you have to build your deck around that, and I don't know if we're super excited to do that. It could be better than I'm saying, but it doesn't have the same impact as some of the other ones, and I'd rather just not worry about any of this and just do my own thing. So not super stoked on Ranger Captain of Eos. Much more of a constructed card. Next up, we have Memories of Nibbleheim, which is actually Stroke of Midnight. It's 2 and a white for an instant. Destroy target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a 1/1 white human creature token. This was from Crimson Vow, I think, or something. Not good. We do not like cards like this. Whenever you have a removal spell that gives them a creature, it just kind of sucks, and it always, yes, you're downgrading that creature, but the 1/1 token does matter, and it will ruin your day. So I don't think you want to take this if you open it. This is like a D. It might come back around, and then you're like, fine, I guess I need some removal, I'll play it. But begrudgingly playable, not excited to play Stroke of Midnight. I want that as far away from my deck as possible. Next up, we have Minwell Rebellion Strategist, which is actually Mangara the Diplomat, which is 3 and a white for a 2/4 legendary creature human cleric with lifelink. And says whenever an opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you or a planeswalker you control, draw a card. And whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, draw a card. A 4-mana 2/4 lifelink that blocks really well, and then just kind of says hey, if your opponent does stuff, you get to draw a card. Sign me up. That's awesome. This is also you have to kill this. You just drawing cards because your opponent wants to double spell. That's the best thing you can be doing in limited, is double spelling and then attacking with a bunch of creatures. This just says, hey, if you attack me with 2 creatures, I draw a card. And that's sucks, especially because this one's going to block whichever one creature they attack with. I don't know. I think this card is great. This is like an A-. Strong card Megara in draft. Seems awesome. Next up, we have Blessing of the Oracle, which is actually Akroma's Will. It's 3 and a white for an instant. Choose one. If you control a commander as you cast the spell, you may choose both instead. Already kind of, I don't know, because of the commander thing. It says creatures you control gain flying, vigilance, and double strike until end of turn. Or creatures you control gain lifelink, indestructible, and protection from each color until end of turn. All right. So Akroma's Will actually does do something. I don't think you need the commander part of this. Like, having both would be awesome, but having one of them is pretty strong. Like, your creatures gain flying, vigilance, and double strike can easily kill your opponent. And your creatures gain lifelink, indestructible, and protection from everything can also get it, like, destroy one of your opponent's, like, attack steps and completely flip the game on its head. So this card is very strong in both aggressive and defensive ways. So yeah, I think we still want to play this. Ultimately, you still need a bunch of creatures, and by itself, it doesn't do a ton. So we're probably just giving this like a C+, but it's still good. Like, it's still a playable card, even though it has the word commander on it. I think you could play this in limited, and you'll still be pretty happy. Next up, we have Noctis Lucis Callum, which is a Kenrith the Returned King. It's 4 and a white for a 5/5 legendary creature, human noble, and it has a bunch of activated abilities, and they're all different colors. So you can pay a single red, all creatures you control gain trample and haste until end turn. 1 in a green, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. 2 in a white, target player gains 5 life. 3 in a blue, target player draws a card, and 4 and a black, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under its owner's control. Under its owner's control is really important. So don't forget that when you're trying to reanimate cards, don't reanimate stuff from your opponent's graveyard, only your graveyard, okay? Just, that's a PSA. This card also seems a little commander-y. However, it does, it's a 5-mana 5/5 that you want to pair this probably with, like, red or green, or kind of a combination of it. If you were a white-green deck that could cast the red part of it to give your creatures trample, that would be really nice. Also, in like a white-black deck, being able to reanimate as much as you want could be pretty helpful. It's a little expensive, but repeatable reanimate sounds kind of strong. And then, obviously, like drawing cards. This card probably just goes in the Towns deck, ultimately, where you get to do all the different things. I think it's pretty interesting. I do think it is strong as well. We haven't really seen this in like draft formats before. In Cube, yeah, but in other ones, not so much. There is enough big creatures that playing this and then giving all your creatures haste and trample, or having this on the battlefield, being able to do that, does seem kind of strong. So ultimately, I think that Kenrith kind of comes out at like a B+. I don't think it's like a bomb, but I think there's enough utility that this can do some pretty interesting things, and I think the format will go long enough that you'll be able to activate this ability, or all these abilities, multiple times. So B+ for Kenrith, very nice. Next up, we have the blue cards. This is Endwalker, which is actually Brainstorm. It's a single blue for an instant. You draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. Okay. Yes, Brainstorm is a really powerful spell. Yes, it is in a Legacy All-Star. It's super, super strong and lets you see bunches of cards. However, you need to remember that all those formats care about shuffling your library. You have a bunch of fetch lands. Brainstorm locking yourself sucks so bad. And I just don't think we can utilize Brainstorm in the way it's supposed to be used in this format. With that, I think we should just not put this card into our deck. Yes, you do get to look at a lot of stuff, but this is another one of those cards where you're going to have an opening hand with like 1 or 2 lands, and you're like, well, I can Brainstorm for the other ones. And then you lock yourself out of it because you can't actually shuffle your library, and then you're kind of screwed. Sure, we have the land cyclers, but I don't think we want to be playing those anyway, so ultimately, I think the Brainstorm is just like a D-level card. I'm not really happy to play this, and I hope I don't have to play Brainstorm. And you really don't have to. It's also a really hard card. Brainstorm is an extremely like skill intensive card where you have to be really good at the game to make it as like to get the most value out of the card, and I just in general think that you should try to avoid it in limited. So yeah, D for Brainstorm. It's not an F, you can put it in your deck, but I would hope to not play Brainstorm. Next up, we have Wild Rose Rebellion, which is actually Counterspell. It's blue for an instant counter target spell. Super simple, really easy to remember, very powerful, hits everything. It is blue, which is harder to do in limited. Holding up blue actually is kind of a cost. But, you know, it does hit everything and it's classic. This is like a B. It's a B minus because you have to always have it up. And honestly, the blue does hurt it quite a bit. But I think that there are, your opponents are going to be ramping for some stuff and playing some giant spells, I think. And this is going to be a really good way to get rid of that. So let's just give this like a B, like a classic B. And we're happy to play Counterspell. Pretty nice. Next up, we have Vanadiel Adventurers, which is a Laboratory Maniac. 2 and a blue for a 2/2 creature human wizard. It says, if you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. Okay. All right. So Lab Man is pretty cool. There is a self-millie type of thing in this format. So there's a possibility you could try to play this and win. But I think base level, you shouldn't play this card. This is like a D. It's not an F because at least we have, like, it is put in here for a reason. And that reason is that you could possibly do it. But ultimately, I think you don't want to pick this and try to make that deck work. I think that's probably a bad idea. But I like that it's in the format. It's kind of funny. So watch out for your opponents possibly having Lab Man, but I don't think you should play it. It's like a D. Next up, we have Stay With Me, which is actually Rhystic Study, Commander All-Star. It's a 2 and a blue for an enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 1 mana. Okay. Don't play this card. This card is really bad in draft. Your opponents will just not let you draw cards. And if they do let you draw cards, it's going to be bad for you. So in general, the reason that this card is so strong is because in Commander you have multiple opponents. So that makes it good. It's never been good in any other format. So this is just a chase card to have for your collection. But it's not a card you want to play in draft. Do not put this in your deck. This is a stone cold F. It does not do what you want it to do. You might draw cards, but you're probably just going to die in response because your opponent decided that you could have cards. So don't spend turn 3 playing a do-nothing enchantment that your opponent's just going to not let you. It will just give you no value. There will be nothing happening. It's a bad card in draft. Don't take Rhystic Study. Don't. It's bad. All right, next up is Master Zand, which is Venser Shape Savant. It's 2 blue for a 2/2 legendary creature, human wizard with flash. It says when it enters, return target spell or permanent to its owner's hand. Sweet. This is nice, kind of expensive at 4 mana. This card is oldish, right? So like it's a little bit too expensive for the ability that you're getting. Bouncing a spell is kind of nice, but holding up 4 mana to do that is rough. So you probably just want to put this on the board whenever you can. But the turn that you hold up mana for something, your opponent doesn't play anything. Maybe they activate something. So instead you just slam this, bounce the permanent, next turn you get to attack with some stuff. It's still pretty good. So with that being said, it's probably just like a C+. I'm not obsessed with this card, just because it's 4 mana in blue. That's pretty rough. But yeah, the ability is still strong. Next up, we have Terra Branford, which is actually Urza Lord High Artificer, which is 2 blue for a 1/4 legendary creature, human artificer. When it enters, you create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token with this token gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. You can tap an untapped artifact you control to add blue, and then you can pay 5 mana to shuffle your library, then exile the top card. Until end of turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost. Sweet. So Terra is Urza, is probably pretty strong in this format. There is a white-blue artifact deck, and there are a lot of artifacts laying around. And the fact that a lot of the artifacts are equipment makes this strong because most of your equipment, they don't turn off if you tap them. Like you can have an equipped, like a creature that has an equipment on it, still attack, and then the equipment doesn't tap, so you just tap the equipment for this mana thing to be able to go get stuff for free. So with that, I think that's pretty strong, and I think you're pretty happy to play Urza, even getting the construct, so it gets like really big. You want to make sure you have a bunch of job select stuff, I think, but ultimately this is like, I don't know if this is an A, because you do need to build around it a lot, but it's probably a pretty strong card, like B+, just because it does come down, it gives you a piece of cardboard and helps you ramp and stuff, and then lets you do something in the late game. All really cool, and yeah, I think this is pretty strong. Next up, we have To the Crystal Tower, which is actually Cryptic Command. It's 1 blue for an instant. You get to choose 2. Counter target spell, return target permanent to its owner's hand, tap all creatures your opponents control, and draw a card. So you get 2 of any of those things. Now, Cryptic Command is obviously a headliner Magic card from forever ago. It is very strong, but I think that it's going to be extremely hard to cast. Blue is just so hard. You have to push so deep into it, and you want to hold up blue. I think that people might get mad about this, but I don't think that you should be putting this card into your deck. I think it's just going to be too hard to cast. You're basically always just going to be bouncing something and tapping their stuff, or bouncing something and drawing a card. And for that much mana, like there's a card in the set called Eject, which is 3 and a blue for the same thing that bounces something and then you draw a card. So this just seems way harder to cast. There's more flexibility. Every once in a while, maybe you'll kill somebody because you tap their stuff, or you get to counter their spell, but triple blue is so hard. It's going to make your mana bad. It's just, you're not going to be able to cast this card when you want. You're just going to be really upset, and so I don't think you should put this card in your deck. This is like a D. If you're like heavy blue, maybe, but at base level, I don't think you should pick this card very highly. Next up, we have Edia Kramer, which is actually Teferi, Mage of Zhalfir. Most interesting looking Teferi I've ever seen. Let's just say that. It's 2 blue for a 3/4 legendary creature, human wizard with flash. It says creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield have flash, and each opponent can cast spells only anytime they could cast a sorcery. Again, this is triple blue. Luckily, this card is, I think, more interesting to have than the Cryptic Command because the timing isn't as bad. Cryptic Command does feel like you kind of want to have it timed out because countering a spell would be the strongest thing you can do. With Teferi, you just want to play it anytime that you can, and then it just sits and gains value by sitting and forcing your opponent to play on their turn and not during combat. And then you get to play flash threats or flash blockers, and so your opponent has a hard time with that. So I do think that brings Teferi up to like a C-, but the minus part is because it's so hard to cast. The triple blue early in the game is more difficult to cast than the triple greens late in the game, or the triple blacks late in the game, you know? So the 5 mana triple blue is just so difficult that I think, once again, you're going to be kind of upset that this is in your deck, and you better be super blue to play this card, but I don't know if it's really worth trying to jam it in there. So, you know, blue, the pips really matter on these cards. Next up, we're going to black cards. So this is Battle at the Big Bridge, which is Fatal Push. It's a single black for an instant. Destroy target creature if it has mana value 2 or less. And it has Revolt, which says destroy target creature if it has mana value 4 or less. Instead, if a permanent you controlled left the battlefield this turn. This is a very strong removal spell. And in draft, I think that the Revolt thing for us specifically will be a little bit harder, except for the fact that we do have summons, so those will leave the battlefield, and then that turn you could kill something and do a big attack or something like that. Your opponents won't see this coming, so that when you attack with everything and then they trade off with something, you get to kill something else. That will be pretty nice. So I think that this is still like a B-level card. It's a really good removal spell, super early. 1 mana, you cannot beat 1 mana removal spells. They're just so good. And they just do so much. So there is a little bit of a setup to make sure that you can get the 4 mana value part, but even killing something small for a single mana, I don't know, you just can't beat that. So B for Fatal Push. Next up, we have Darkness of Eternity, which is actually Dark Ritual. It's a single black for an instant, and you get to add black to your mana pool. So yeah, a nice ritual card. putting cards like this in your deck is kind of hard because if you don't have anything to cast with it, it just doesn't do very much. And I don't know. It seems like an exciting card for sure, and you could always think of like, oh, the explosive turns I can have if I get this, and blah, 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 blah. I think you're a little bit more interested in this if you're trying to do like the mono black strategy. There's a 5 black pipped card that I said not to play, but if you have Dark Rituals, maybe you could convince yourself to do it. And there's a way that like maybe you get to ramp out some of your good big end black cards with this, but ultimately I think this is still playable, but I think it's like a C- that like, ooh, it's a little tricky. Ultimately, it probably is like a D+, but I like Dark Ritual too much. I like it too much to put it there. I'm going to be duped into playing this card when I probably shouldn't, but I like Dark Ritual too. I just like it so much. It's one of my favorites. So, yeah, C-, but in actuality, it's probably like a D. You probably shouldn't play it, but I'm going to. Next up is Shantos Coercion, which is actually Diabolic Intent. It's 1 and a black for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast the spell, sacrifice a creature, search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle. So it's a tutor. It's a 2-mana tutor, but you have to sacrifice a creature to do it. No, I don't think we want to do this. Tutors in general in draft are not that strong because your bomb has to be so bomb diggity freaking awesome that you would use a card from your hand and sacrifice a creature. Like, you better be sacrificing a token if you're going to use this. And 2 mana is nice because then a lot of times you can just play the card that you tutored for. But ultimately, it's just not going to be as good as you think. It doesn't affect the board. It gets you a card, but your bomb has to be phenomenal. Like, it has to win you the game on the spot for this card to actually do anything. And I just think you should not put this card in your deck. It does get everything, so that's nice, but if you're tutoring stuff up, it better be a creature that gets you something. So I'm not happy with Shantos Coercion or Diabolic Intent. I think this is like a D level card, like a D+, because it has some use cases. If you're in white-black, yeah, maybe we just want to sacrifice stuff, but and the white-black also cares about combo pieces. So if you're going to get your Blood Artist or something, I think that's probably the only situation we're excited. Like your Blood Artist card or the pieces for your combo or something gigantic that you're going to play next turn. But I don't think you should play Diabolic Intent. D+. Next up, we have Baron Rivalry, which is Deadly Dispute. It's 1 and a black for an instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice an artifact or creature, and says draw 2 cards and create a treasure token. All right, so this card we actually do like, because Deadly Dispute is a strong effect. In the black-white deck, we need more cards because we play a bunch of little stuff, and we want them to be sacrificed. This is also an instant speed sacrifice. So if your opponent tries to kill your creature, or you can block and then sack it to this to draw some cards and make a treasure. You can also just sacrifice an artifact. It could just be a stupid treasure token or other foods, or there's a bunch of random things around. So, or, at the very, very worst case scenario, you could sacrifice one of your equipment that already did their job select thing and it's just sitting around. So I think this card's actually going to be pretty good, and Deadly Dispute was great in the format that it was in when it was introduced. So yeah, this is like a C+. I don't think it cracks the B range, but you're very happy to play a Deadly Dispute, and yeah, I definitely like it a lot. Next up, we have Ardan Izunia, which is Varragoth Blood Sky Sire. 2 and a black for a 2/3 legendary creature, Demon Rogue with Death Touch. It has Boast. You can pay 1 and a black, and target player searches their library for a card, then shuffles and puts that card on top. Boast is, you can activate it if you attacked with a creature. So if Varragoth is attacking, you can pay the 2 to to Vampiric Tutor, basically. The fact that you don't put this into your hand is really, really bad. You just get to choose whatever card you're going to draw next turn. It does have Death Touch, so there is that. But I think ultimately this card's not a bomb. And once again, spending the mana to tutor the thing, especially because it doesn't go in your hand, is really bad. It is possibly repeatable, but Varragoth was pretty bad in its draft format in Kaldheim, and I don't think you want to play this. In the sense that, like, it's a totally fine 3 mana 2/3 Death Touch that sometimes gets you a card that you want on top. but ultimately you probably should be spending your mana on other things. So I'm going to give this like a C. You can put this in your deck, that's fine. But as a 2/3 Death Touch body, that's what you're looking at. Next up, we have the Shadow Lord, which is Gix, Yawgmoth Praetor. It's 1 black for a 3/3 legendary creature, Phyrexian Praetor. It says whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller may pay 1. If they do, they draw a card. And it also has an activated ability of 4 black, discard X cards, exile the top X cards of target opponent's library. You may play lands and cast spells from among the exiled cards this way without paying their mana costs. Perfect. Don't look at the second chunk of this. We're not really interested in that. We're just looking at the 3 mana 3/3 that whenever a creature deals damage, you get to draw a card. That part is extremely powerful. You can draw a bunch of cards off of this guy. You do lose some life, but we have some life gain stuff in the format to offset that. And I think this card's very powerful. You do want to have a kind of deck that's built around it. Probably there's a blue-black shell where you get some of the fairies that get to ping your opponents just in the air, and you get to do that, so that's nice. But ultimately, I think this card's going to be good. This is like a B. I don't think it's like a bomb, but I'm really happy to play this card, and we'll try to build tempo-y decks so that I can get some advantage from Gix. But like B for Gix. I like Gix a lot. Next up, we have the Emperor Hell Tyrant, which is Yawgmoth Thran Physician. It's a 2 black for a 2/4 legendary creature, human cleric. It has protection from humans, and you can pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature, put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target creature, and draw a card. And you can pay black, discard a card to proliferate those -1/-1 counters to screw up your opponent's creatures and kill them slowly. I think Yawgmoth is pretty good. We do have a sacrifice deck. Having a free sacrifice outlet is huge. You just get to sack a bunch of stuff. This will flip Sephiroth if you do find both of them, so that's pretty exciting. Paying the life is annoying, but actually putting the counters, like the -1/-1 counters on stuff, does matter, and you do draw cards. So when you sacrifice creatures, you are drawing cards. That's amazing. Protection from humans actually matters this set because there are a ton of humans. And the proliferate part we're less excited about, I think. But being able to sacrifice creatures for this, I don't know. I think this is like a B+. You do need the deck to be built around this card. It doesn't go in any deck. But I think you're pretty happy if you're in sac. Like, this card seems phenomenal in the sacrifice deck. Definitely goes up to an A if you're up there. But in general, like a B+. I like Yawgmoth. Next up, we have Golbez Clad in Darkness, which is Sir Conrad the Grim. It's 3 black for a 5/4 legendary creature, human knight. It says whenever another creature dies or a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your battlefield, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. And you can pay 1 and a black, and each player mills a card. This is a crazy Blood Artist effect. Because it deals with like mill cards. If anything's milled, if anything's discarded, if anything's taken out of a graveyard, if anything goes to the graveyard. If a creature moves a zone that touched a graveyard, this thing sees it and deals damage. Sir Conrad kills people very, very quickly. It's an extremely strong card. It honestly could be like an A-. I have it as like a B+, but Sir Conrad is very good. You do want to make sure that you have a lot of creatures and a lot of stuff and ways to move things around. So I think I'm going to keep it at a B+, but once again, in the sacrifice decks, this card's fantastic and the scariest thing on the board. They have to deal with this card before they deal with the rest of your board or your graveyard or anything. And maybe you could even play some of the mill cards with this. So, Sir Conrad is phenomenal. B+. Really, really good, but you do need to make sure you have the right deck for it. Next up, we have Kefka's Tower, which is actually Bololiss Citadel. It's 3 black for a legendary artifact. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana value rather than pay its mana cost. So everything is free if you have enough life. And you can tap it, sacrifice 10 non-land permanents, and each opponent loses 10 life. No, you don't want to play this card. We don't have enough life for this card to be good enough. black, black, black is really hard to play. It doesn't affect the board. You're not going to have 10 non-land permanents to sacrifice to kill your opponent. You're not going to have enough life. Yes, we get to gain some, but you lose a ton of life by playing this card. It's very good in Commander because your life total is doubled, but in Draft, I think you should stay away from this card. It might have some applications, so I'm going to give it a D, but like a D minus. It's very close to unplayable, but be very, very wary. Because you will get greedy and kill yourself on accident. That just kind of happens. So yeah, D minus. Don't put Bololiss Citadel in your deck. Next up, we have Selch, Asen. Sure. It is actually Crick, son of Yawgmoth. It's 4 Phyrexian black, Phyrexian black, Phyrexian black. So it's either 7 mana or you can pay a bunch of life to get it down early. It's only a 2/2. It's a legendary creature, Phyrexian human minion, but it has lifelink. And it says for each black pip in a cost, you may pay 2 life rather than pay that mana. So you turn all of your black cards into like Phyrexian black cards. And it says whenever you cast a black spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Selch, and it has lifelink to try to gain the life back. There is a dream you could play a mono black deck where you're turbo killing yourself. If you also have like Cecil or things like that where you want to have a low life total to flip it over to start gaining life back, there is something there, but that's so many rare cards. Like this card is only good with a bunch of other rare cards, and you need to put a huge emphasis on gaining life back. Once again, this has the same Bololiss Citadel thing where it's like, yes, this is really good in a format if you have a ton of life, but when you have half as much life, it's just not. You're just gonna kill yourself. So this is the D. You shouldn't put this card in your deck. It's too expensive losing that much life. You're gonna feel too greedy, and you're gonna kill yourself playing this card. So just don't. Just do yourself a favor and pass this card because you don't want to play it. Next up, we have Zidane Tribal, which is Ragavan Nimble Pilferer. It's a single red for a 2/1 legendary creature, Monkey Pirate. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token and exile the top card of that player's library. Until end of turn, you may cast that card, and it has dash for 1 in a red, which means you can play it from your hand, it gains haste, and then at the end of turn, you return it back to your hand. Yeah, Ragavan is awesome. This is a great card to play on like turn 1. It's super scary. You make a bunch of tokens. You can dash it out whenever it feels good. Being able to like ramp with the treasure as well as like play your opponent's stuff or just exile your opponent's things. All of it's great. Yeah, the only thing is you can't cast lands off of this because you can't cast lands just in general in the rules. But yeah, Ragavan's pretty good. I think in an aggressive Boros-y deck, I'd be pretty happy to play Ragavan, just like a B level card, probably maybe B plus. But I like Ragavan. Next up, we have Thrun of Vestige, which is Lightning Bolt. It's a single red for an instant, and it deals 3 damage to any target. Yes, Lightning Bolt is a B. This is a good card. You're happy to have this as your bit of removal, and yeah, it's very efficient, very strong. Everybody knows Lightning Bolt. Take it. Next up, we have Cloud Strife, which is Najeela the Blade Blossom. It's 2 in a red for a 3/2 legendary creature, Human Warrior. It says whenever a warrior attacks, you may have its controller create a 1/1 white warrior creature token that's tapped and attacking, and you can pay Wooburg, which is white, blue, black, red, green, and untap all attacking creatures. They gain trample, lifelink, and haste until end of turn. After this combat, there is an additional combat phase, and you only activate it during combat. Okay, so Najeela is not nearly as good in draft, I think. The second mode is really what you're super excited about. Yes, it's similar to Adeline because you do get to attack and make pieces of cardboard, but the 3/2 body is the problem. Because Adeline has 4 toughness, it's really hard to trade with just one creature, and this one's much easier to trade with. So because of that, yes, you do get to make creatures, and like maybe you can do the Wooburg thing, but I don't think you want to be Wooburg with this card. I don't think this really goes in the Towns deck either. It can be really strong, but I don't think we should be playing this card. I had this at like a C, but I'm gonna give it a D. Actually, I think it's just kind of a trap. And the 3 mana 3/2 when you attack, you make a 1/1 is good, but I'm gonna give it a D as just showing you shouldn't be trying to do the Wooburg thing with this card, so you probably shouldn't take it. In all seriousness, it's probably a C, but I think mentally so many people will look at this card and see the Wooburg and try the Wooburg. Do not try the Wooper. Don't do that. This is really just a 3-mana 3/2 that makes creatures when it attacks. That is all. But I think it's a D because too many of us are too greedy. So let's just say don't put it in your deck and save yourself a headache. Next up, we have Van Aspiring Sky Pirate, which is Captain Lannery Storm. It's 2 and a red for a 2/2 legendary creature, human pirate with haste. And it says when it attacks, create a treasure token. And whenever you sacrifice a treasure token, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Okay, 3-mana 2/2, you attack, create a treasure token. All right, there's something there. You know, not the craziest card in the world, but you do get some treasures out of it, and they can help you sacrifice stuff or splash things or whatever you want. It seems like a C plus. We're happy to play this card. It's not crazy or anything, but yeah, Captain Lannery Storm is cool. We don't have a ton, like we do get treasures now, but there aren't like crazy treasure synergies besides like. We have some artifact things or some sacrifice things, maybe in black, where we get to sacrifice treasures and drain our opponent and then pump this up. Okay, there could be something there. It might move into the B range in that situation, but a 3-mana 2/2 haste that just creates a treasure when it attacks, you'll probably just get 1 treasure and then that's it. So not super exciting with that, but yeah, could do work. C+. Next up, we have A Promise Fulfilled, which is Light Up the Stage. It's 3 and a red for a sorcery. It has Spectacle for red, which means if your opponent was dealt damage, then you can cast it for just a single red. And it says exile the top 2 cards of your library until end of your next turn. You may play those cards. Cool. Light Up the Stage is nice. Yeah, it's if you can play it for 1 mana, it's super cheap. You're attacking. You can find your lands. You can find other spells. It was I think it's pretty good, and it's yeah, we're happy to play this. So it's still a draw spell, so I don't know if red necessarily loves this, but it's the kind of draw spell that they want, because you can usually find some stuff that you care about, and your stuff is usually cheap enough. So in a Boros aggressive red deck, this is probably like a C or a C plus, depending. I think I'll say C, but yeah, cool. Light Up the Stage, definitely playable. Next up, we have Kefka Palazo, which is Perforos, God of the Forge. It is 3 and a red for a 6/5 legendary enchantment creature god that has Indestructible. It says as long as your devotion to red is less than 5, Kefka isn't a creature, or Perforos. And whenever another creature you control enters, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. And you can pay 2 and a red. Creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. Wow. Wow. We get Perforos in this set? Yeah, playing creatures like this card, being able to play things, dealing 2 damage when you play a creature is a lot, and I don't think it's going to be crazy hard to do the devotion thing. If this ever becomes a creature, you're just laughing. You're laughing. It's going to be so good. But literally just a 4-mana 6/5 that's not really a creature, and you're just doming your opponent for 2 every time you play a creature. The amazing top end for any aggressive deck. This card is pretty scary, and yeah, does a lot. You'll probably be really interested in anything that makes a bunch of tokens, which there are some in white. So if you're playing like a Boros deck, you'll be happy with that. There is the Cactuar in green, so if you're playing any of the Gruul decks, you can play the Cactuar over and over again, and you dome your opponent for 2 every time. So all right, there's some stuff going on with this. I'm gonna give this like an A-. Like, I would be happy to first pick this card and build an entire deck around it because it is good. It kills. It kills. Perforos is great. Next up is Dawn Warrior's Legacy, which is Mizzix's Mastery. It's 3 and a red for a sorcery. Exile target card that's an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. For each card exiled this way, copy it. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost, and then you exile Mizzix's Mastery. It also has Overload for 5 red, which means anytime the card would say target, it just says each. So instead, you get to exile each instant and sorcery from your graveyard and cast them for free, which is pretty crazy. And there is a spell theme in this deck. This is 4 mana spell to do some stuff. It seems kind of fun and crazy, but there's a lot of setup that goes into this, and I think ultimately we just don't want to play this card. I'm gonna say that this is a D, and maybe there's a very specific deck that you could play that would make this card really good and turn it into like a B or an A, but in general, we don't want to play this card, and I don't think you should play this card. So let's just say that this is a D and avoid it and then move on with our lives. It is very powerful, but the deck that you have to build, you will be interested in playing a card like this probably like 3 or 4 weeks into the format where you're trying to find new niche things to do. But starting off, we want to stay away from this card. That's what I believe we should not play this. So D for the Mizzix Mastery. Next up, we have Gilgamesh, Weapon Collector, which is Godo, Bandit Warlord. It's 5 and a red for a 3/3 legendary creature, Human Barbarian. It says when it enters, you search your library for an equipment card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. And whenever it attacks for the first time each turn, untap it and all samurai you control. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. So of course, we don't have that many samurai. There are, there's an equipment that makes creatures samurais, but in general, we don't really have that many. And Godo, a 6 mana 3/3 that goes and gets an equipment. I don't know, 6 mana 3/3 is pretty rough, and you need to have a really exciting equipment to get. So you really want like a mythic one. You do get multiple combat steps, but not really. Your card is so small, and it doesn't like auto equip or anything. I think ultimately this is another D level card. Like, it's a 6 mana 3/3 sucks, and then you need like a job select card is not good enough in this situation. And 6 mana 3/3 go get the samurai swords or whatever, also not good enough. You do get to tutor onto the battlefield, so that is great, but I don't love it. It seems like it might be fun, but then in the end, you're just gonna lose it immediately. And if you get to go get something amazing like the Buster Sword or something like that, then sweet. But otherwise, no, don't love it. D for Godo. Next up, we have Dragon of Mount Gul, which is Ancient Copper Dragon. It's 4 red for a 6/5 creature Elder Dragon. It has flying. And says whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, roll a d20. You create a number of treasure tokens equal to the result. A. This is an A. It does what you want. You do have to connect with your opponent, but a 6 mana 6/5 with flying that makes 1,000,000 treasure tokens when you hit them. You get to play 1,000,000 things afterwards. The treasure tokens aren't tapped, so your post-combat main phase is going to be awesome. And this card's sweet. It's very good. I don't know if it's an A+, but an A. Once again, it doesn't affect the board when it comes down, but I think it's good enough. I think your opponent's going to get scared of this, and it will kill people. So, yeah, very strong. Next up, we're moving on to the green cards with Falsy Paradise, which is a Carpet of Flowers. It's a single green for an enchantment. At the beginning of each of your main phases, if you hadn't added mana with this ability this turn, you add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of islands target opponent controls. Yuck. That is an F. Do not play this card. Very bad. It does literally nothing. Your opponent has to be playing islands. You don't know if they're playing islands. I don't even know if you want to sideboard with this. Just don't play Carpet of Flowers. Nope. Next up, we have Search for the Frozen Esper, which is Nature's Claim. It's a single green for an instant. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Its controller gains 4 life. Nature's Claim, cool. Yeah, it's very, very efficient. There are artifacts and enchantments that you can blow up with this thing. Making them gain life is kind of annoying, but hey, what are you going to do? You could definitely put this in your deck, I guess. It is so cheap. I think I had this as a D+. I'm going to give it like a C-. You will find targets, and it's just so cheap that you can't beat 1 mana. I just love 1 mana spells, and you can't beat it. It will probably do something for you. Probably, maybe. It could be a D, but I'm going to give it a C-. I would probably play this card if I saw it. Next up is Newfound Adventure, which is Farseek. It's 1 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain card. Put it onto the battlefield tapped and shuffle. Sweet. Farseek, I'm going to give like a C+. I think we want to be ramping, and ramping on 2 is great. Fixing your colors is great. Green decks are going to be happy with this card for sure. And we want to be doing this. And it also, I was going to say it's good for the Chocobo deck, but not really, because you want to be playing a creature on 2. So forget that. But yeah, great ramp spell. Sweet art. Awesome. C+. Next up, we have Vayne Karuda's Solid Door. Oh, okay. It's Finn the Fangbearer. It's 1 and a green for a 1/3 legendary creature, human warrior with Death Touch. It says whenever a creature you control with Death Touch deals combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 poison counters. This is, just think of this as a 2 mana 1/3 Death Touch, and that's all. We don't have enough death touch in the set for the actual other part to matter. I don't think you want to build a deck trying to do the poison counter thing. This is just a 2-mana 1/3 that you do get to use fight spells and hurt your opponent's stuff. So that's basically it. 2-mana 1/3, it's like a C-. It's playable, or a C. It's fine. But if I had the choice between Finn the Fangbearer and the 1-mana 1/1 death touch, I'm probably taking the 1-mana 1/1. Yeah, that's just the way it goes. Next up, we have Princess Sarah, which is Azusa, Lost But Seeking. It's 2 and a green for a 1/2 legendary creature, human monk. It says you may play 2 additional lands on each of your turns. Cool. Azusa is totally fine. You don't get to ramp nearly as much as you think that you do. I just want that to be out in the open, because oftentimes you just don't have that many lands in your hand. This deck might want to run extra lands if you have this, because you want to be able to dump as many as you can. You want to be able to draw a bunch of cards and dump as many lands as you can. But ultimately, you'll probably play 1 additional land throughout the course of having Azusa. So it's kind of like a C-. Like, I think it is playable, but it's not going to do... It's not like, oh, I'm going to ramp like crazy. It's probably like... The turn you play Azusa, you play an extra land, and then you're like, sweet. So it was like a 3-mana 1/2 that said put an extra land from your hand on the battlefield, and that's it. And just do that one time, because you will never have 3 lands in your hand on a given turn. So yeah, I think it's fine. It could honestly be a D, but I think I'm going to start with thinking that it is worth playing, and then we might move to it's not worth playing. But I think it's fine. Next up, we have Astral Titan, which is actually Primeval Titan. It's a 4 green for a 6/6 creature giant with trample. It says whenever this creature enters or attacks, you may search your library for up to 2 land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. You get to get any land card, so you get a bunch of towns with this. It helps you ramp even more, which is funny, but I think in the town deck, you're super happy, and in the Chocobo deck, this card is actually going to be pretty crazy. As a crazy top end, you slam this, get a bunch of lands, they all get like build up. The following turn you attack, they get pumped up again because more lands are entering the battlefield. You're ripping lands out of your deck so that you're not drawing them anymore. I think Primeval Titan is pretty nice. I'm going to say like a B+. I think there's enough land synergy stuff that you can do some fun things in Gruul and in Simic with this card. And yeah, I like Primeval Titan. It doesn't have the kill ability that it does in like modern decks where you're going to get lands that actually deal damage to your opponent. But I think, ramping that much is going to be very useful, and ripping lands out of your deck is going to be great. So we're going to give Primeval Titan a B+. Next up, we have the Cloud Sea Jin, which is Nyxbloom Ancient. It's 4 green for a 5/5 enchantment creature elemental with trample. It says if you tap a permanent for mana, it produces 3 times as much of that mana instead. I think this card is probably like a C-. It's fine. You can play it, but green is hard. And then by the time you play this, do you really need to triple your mana? Like, you have 7 lands. So, like, yeah, you get to make a bunch of mana. The one thing with this card, though, is if you are playing Gruul and you have the Fireball, that'll be good. So you do get to just, like, destroy your opponent. But also, I guess if you had 7 mana with the Fireball, it only deals 5 damage. So with this, it deals way more. So that's nice. Okay, sure. So in that situation, awesome. But other than that, it is just kind of like a 7-mana 5/5 that is kind of redundant. Your ramp spell being so expensive is weird, but there are probably some use cases. But yeah, like a C-. I'm not like clamoring to play this card. Let's just say that. Next up, we have the multicolor cards. So this is Shadowbringers, which is Dovin's Veto. It's white-blue for an instant. This spell can't be countered. Counter target non-creature spell. Negate is like a D in limited. You want to be countering people's threats, not usually countering their removal spells or their other things. So holding up white-blue all the time for the one situation where they play a card that you can counter, I don't think... you want to counter their bomb, and this doesn't do that. So let's just give it a D. It has really cool art, but don't put it in your deck. Next up, we have Benedicta Harmon, which is Ishai Ojitai Dragon Speaker. This is 2 white-blue for a 1/1 legendary creature bird monk with flying. It says whenever an opponent casts a spell, you put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it has partner. Partner doesn't matter at all. That's for commander stuff. But ultimately, a 4-mana 1/1 with flying that you have to have your opponent make bigger for you. They're just not going to, or it's just going to take too long and it won't matter. 4-mana 1/1 is not awesome. Obviously, this is made for commander because you have more opponents and it has partner. So in the end, this is like a D-. It's pretty bad. I don't think you want to really play this at all. It is playable, but I wouldn't really be happy to be playing this card. I don't think it's stone cold an F, but it's bad. Next up, we have Yuffie Kisaragi. This is Yuriko the Dragon's Shadow. It's 1 blue-black for a 1/3 legendary creature human ninja. It has Commander Ninjutsu, which means you can pay blue, black, and a ninjutsu it in from the command zone. And it says whenever a ninja you control deals combat damage to a player, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. Each opponent loses life equal to that card's mana value. Because it just has Commander Ninjutsu, I can't really remember if this card can be played just from your hand. I'm pretty sure it does both. You can either do it from the command zone and from your hand, but ultimately, I don't think you really want to be playing this card at all. I don't know if it's a stone F, but I'm going to say D- again. Like, this card seems pretty bad. There's like 1 ninja thing in the set. There are big spells, so you might be able to dome your opponent, but in general, I think this is just not it. Like, don't play this card. Once again, cool art, but don't play the card. Next up, we have Clive Rossfield, which is Vial Smasher the Fierce. It's 1 black-red for a 2/3 legendary creature Goblin Berserker. It says whenever you cast your first spell each turn, choose an opponent at random. Well, I only have 1 opponent, so I'm going to choose you. It deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to that player or planeswalker that player controls, and has partner. This card's actually really good. This kind of looks like a Rakdos uncommon-ish, but it's very strong. And the first card you play every turn just domes your opponent for a bunch of damage. I think that this is probably like an A-, actually. I had it as a B+, but any Rakdos deck would play this card. It's cheap enough. It does enough damage if you're just playing stuff. So yeah, Vial Smasher seems great. It kills your opponent dead quickly. So I like that a lot. Hell yeah. Great card. This is the kind of commander card I want to see in draft. Like, aggressive and death. Next up, we have Cecil Harvey, which is Timna the Weaver. It is 1 white-black for a 2/2 legendary creature human cleric with lifelink. It says at the beginning of each of your post-combat main phases, you may pay X life, where X is the number of opponents you dealt combat damage to this turn. If you do, draw X cards, and you get to, it has partner. So this is another card that is similar to Gix, where when you deal combat damage to your opponent, you get to draw cards. So that's kind of nice. You do have to pay the life, which obviously Gix did too, but you can only draw 1 card with Timna. You can't draw multiple ones depending on how many creatures you had. With that being said, I still think it's pretty good. This is like a B-level card. If you have a bunch of little dudes, you get to deal some damage and draw some cards. It has lifelink itself to gain the life back, which is nice. So yeah, overall, it's like a B. Yeah, I'm happy with this card. Timna seems pretty good in draft. Next up, we have Barnabas Thmer, which is Krom Ludovich's Opus, which is 3 blue-red for a 4/4 legendary creature zombie horror. It has flying and haste. And whenever opponent casts their second spell each turn, you draw a card. And it has partner. Yeah, Krom seems all right. 5-mana 4/4 haste with flying, you get to smash your opponent, and then if they double spell, you draw a card. They don't have to give you the card, so that's one thing. I'm probably going to give this like a C+. A little on the expensive side, but you do get to smash your opponent, and then sometimes draw cards. So yeah, they do have easy time making sure you don't draw cards, but the upside of that is pretty nice. So yeah, C+ for Krom. Next up, we have Barts Clauser, which is Winota, Joiner of Forces. It's 2 red-white for a 4/4 legendary creature human warrior. It says, whenever a non-human creature you control attacks, look to the top 6 cards of your library. You may put a human creature card from among them onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. It gains indestructible until end turn. Put the rest of the cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. Okay, so we do have a lot of humans and non-human stuff in the set. I think building this deck could be kind of confusing, though, and pretty difficult, especially because you want early non-humans and big humans. I guess you do get stuff for free. I think putting this whole thing together might not actually be that good, though. It seems like another thing that would be fun later in the format, but early on, I think you probably want to stay away from this. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to say like a D. I think you shouldn't play Winota. Maybe later on you can start being a little bit more creative and playing this card, but early on, let's just say no and just stay away from it. Next up, we have Hugo Cupka, which is Bruce Tarl, Boorish Herder. It's 2 red-white for a 3/3 legendary creature human ally. It says whenever Hugo enters or attacks, target creature you control gains double strike and lifelink. Sweet! Awesome. Yeah, this is exactly the kind of thing that I want. Just generic, like, 4 mana 3/3, this creature gets double strike and lifelink, attack. Next turn, I attack, give something double strike and lifelink. And then you're just gaining life and ripping creatures off your opponent's board or smashing them in the face. Yeah, this is like a B. This is just a B. I like this card a lot. Bruce Tarl, sweet. More cards like Bruce Tarl, please. This card's awesome. Next up, we have Seymour Guado, which is Kinnan Bonder Prodigy. It's green-blue for a 2/2 legendary creature human druid. It says whenever you tap a non-land permanent for mana, add 1 mana of any type that permanent produced. Okay. And then you can pay 5 green-blue. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a non-human creature card from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Kinnan seems okay. I think you can play Kinnan, but the tapping non-land permanents for mana that do double like that is not really a thing at all. We just don't have that many mana rocks, and we don't want to be playing that many mana rocks, I don't think. We'd rather just be ramping with lands, and this seems much more like a commander thing. I'm going to give this a C- because the big ability, I think, is worth it, and a lot of your best cards will be non-humans. So I think you're fine with that. Looking at the top 5 is a good amount. But ultimately, I think it's playable, but it doesn't ramp you at all. It's not going to be ramping like it does in Commander. So like a C-. Next up, we have Titus, Xanarkand Faith, which is Thrasios Triton Hero. It's green-blue for a 1/3 legendary creature, Merfolk Wizard. You can pay 4 mana to scry 1, then reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped. Otherwise, draw a card. Okay, 4 mana scry 1, and then you get to ramp maybe, or draw a card. Okay, that seems pretty alright, kind of expensive. And you probably want to be affecting the board more than just doing this thing. I could see it doing something like getting it down early and then either holding up counter magic or doing this seems kind of interesting, and then ramping for whatever stuff you're going to do. It's probably like a C. It's definitely playable, but yeah, I think it's just a C. You could put this in your deck. Next up, we have Lightning Lone Commando, which is Ishin, 2 heavens as 1. It is red, white, black, so Mardu, for a 3/4 legendary creature, human samurai. If a creature attacking causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, the ability triggers an additional time. This is like a D. I don't think we have that many attack triggers, really. We have like damage triggers, but I guess it says if an attacking creature causes a triggered ability of a permanent. So okay, so like it's like a D+ then, because we do hit our opponent and then we get to do the trigger twice because it is attacking when the trigger's going on the stack. So, all right, there's something there. Maybe like the Gick stuff or like the Timna things, or there's some equipment that care about it. But ultimately, I think it's just kind of like a win more card. You're already doing the thing, you just get to double it. And paying triple colors to do that is just not it. So let's just give this like a D. Just stay away from it. I don't think we really need to play this card. Next up, we have Kuja, Mage Manufacturer, which is actually Inala Archmage Ritualist. It is 2 blue, black, red, which is Grixis. For a 4/5 legendary creature, human wizard, it has Eminence, which is useless. Eminence just says, whenever another non-token wizard you control enters, if it's in the command zone, I guess, or on the battlefield, sorry, I guess it's not completely useless. So if this is on the battlefield, you can pay 1. If you do create a token that's a copy of that wizard, the token gains haste, and then you exile it at the beginning of the next end step. And you can tap 5 untapped wizards you control, and target player loses 7 life. All right, so I think this card was really strong because the Eminence thing, but playing this and then paying more mana to make more wizards, there is a wizard theme in the set, but the 3 different colors for this is less exciting, and tapping a bunch of wizards to deal 7 damage could be helpful if you have like a ton of the tokens and things, so it is a wizard itself. All right, originally I said that this was an F, but it's probably closer to like a D+. I'm not super excited to play this card, but it can do work. Is this a C? You know what? This actually does things. Damn it. Damn it. I wanted the Eminence to be just like just a stone cold F, but the fact that it actually like can not double your wizards, but make a token of wizards that enter and tap to kill your opponent, like... It's a C level card. You could play this, but these are not the fixing colors necessarily, but it would be worth splashing for sure. Hopefully in like a black-red deck, splash this. Sounds like probably what you want to do as your top end. Next up, we have Orphan Cocoon Falsi, which is Muldrotha the Gravetide. It is 3 black, green, blue, so Sultai, for a 6/6 legendary creature, Elemental Avatar. During each of your turns, you may play a land and cast a permanent spell of each permanent type from your graveyard. Yes. Muldrotha is really sweet. This is a huge payoff for milling cards and recasting a bunch of things. You get to play lands, you get to anything that sacrifices itself, or any summons this card is really good with because you get to play them again. I'm going to give this like an A-. Like, you do need to be in a specific deck, and it doesn't do something when it enters, but it's very strong, and I think we're going to go long enough where this card is good. So the value you're going to get from Muldrotha is going to be able to crush your opponents, and I would be very happy to try to play a deck like this. Next up, we have Sephiroth the Savior, which is Atraxa Grand Unifier. It is 3 green, white, blue, black for a 7/7 legendary creature, Phyrexian Angel. It has Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink, and when it enters, reveal the top 10 cards of your library. For each card type, you may put a card of that type from among the revealed cards into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This card is crazy, and I think with the town deck, this would be an amazing top end, and you get to draw a bunch of cards. It stabilizes the board. It does everything you want. This is an A. It is hard to cast, but if you get it early enough, you can play this card, and it's worth playing 4 colors for this. So town decks, you're looking for this for sure. And yeah, it's a beast on the battlefield, and it replaced itself many times over. So this card is fantastic. We have enough different things like the summons and the job select equipments and the creatures and lands, and then all spells and everything. This card is just going to be great. And once again, I think that this format's going to be long enough where this card's going to be phenomenal. So you're going to want to play this A for Atraxa. Next up, we have the Warrior of Light, which is Joda the Unifier. It is Wooburg, so white, blue, black, red, green for a 5/5 legendary creature, human wizard. It says legendary creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is the number of legendary creatures you control. So it is a 5 mana 6/6 actually, and every other legendary creatures at least get +1/+1 or +2. Well, I guess every time you play it, so it would be +2/+2 at the very least if you have one more. Whenever you cast a legendary spell from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a legendary non-land card with lesser mana value. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Okay, Wooburg, very hard. So you're probably not playing this card until at least turn 7 or 8 because it's going to take you a while to fix your lands. But again, in the Towns deck, I think you want to be playing 5 colors. and I think this card will actually be doing a pretty good job. There are a ton of legendary creatures in this set, so just pumping them is good enough. Just a 5 mana, like 6/6 that pumps all your creatures that are legendary, I think that's good enough. All the gold cards are legendary. Like, there's so many. So, yes, I think we're super happy with this card, and because of the deck restrictions and all that stuff, not only do you have to be 5 colors, but you need a bunch of legendary creatures. I'm going to give this a B, but I think it's going to be very scary if you ever see it. It's hard to build around, but I think it's going to be worth it for sure. If you get one free spell off of this, or just this card in general, you'll be pretty happy. So make sure you get a lot of legendaries that are the same colors, probably green and blue, and then kind of branch off a little bit from there. But Towns decks want this again. They just want this card, and they're going to win the game because of it. Next up, we have the Strawl, which is Smuggler's Copter. It's 2 mana for a 3/3 artifact vehicle with flying. It says whenever this vehicle attacks or blocks, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card, and it has Crew 1. Sure, Smuggler's Copter is really good. The Crew 1 is great. It comes down really early. It does all the things that you want it to do. And I think you're happy with this in most every deck, so this is like a B+. Yeah, probably the best vehicle we have in the entire set. Really, really love Smuggler's Copter. Next up, we have Crystal of Altar Cave, which is Chromatic Lantern. So for 3 mana, you get an artifact, and it says lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color, and it taps for 1 of any color. Okay, we were just talking about all the 5-color decks and things. This card only goes in that deck, and but I think you will play it in that deck. So I originally have this. This is a D for everything except for the 5-color deck. D for everything but 5 colors, okay? Very, very focused. Even if we're trying to ramp, I don't know if this is what we want to do. There's a lot of artifact and enchantment destruction just because there's a bunch of that stuff around. So I would rather be ramping with all the land stuff in green, and I don't want to be ramping in many other colors. But this card for sure you can play in the Joda 5-color deck. So because of that, I'm going to give it a C- because it's not embarrassing to play. But yeah, besides that, it's the extra text of we recently were playing in Tarkir Dragonstorm the Globes, which is basically the same card, but it pumps up your dragons. Because this extra text doesn't actually do anything to the board, it just helps you play even more stuff. You only want to be doing this in the Wooburg type decks, where you just all your lands are fixed after you play this card. It's not phenomenal. It's like a C- in that deck-ish. It could be just like a regular C in that deck. Everything else is like a D-, like pretty bad. Next up, we have Lucca Stadium, which is the Strixhaven Stadium, which is 3 mana for an artifact. It taps for colorless, and you put a point counter on this artifact. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, you have to remove a point counter from this artifact. And whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to an opponent, put a point counter on this artifact. Then, if it has 10 or more point counters on it, remove them all, and that player loses the game. This card is bad. It's very bad. It can ramp, I guess, and then maybe scare your opponent. I don't think you're ever winning with this card. And you know what? I'm just going to give this an F. I don't think you should put the Stadium in your deck. Even if you're trying to ramp, you probably want colors. And I don't know. I don't really like the sub-game of this thing. It seems funny in other formats, perhaps. But yeah, maybe if you go super wide. But ultimately, yeah, I think this card, you just shouldn't play it. Strixhaven Stadium, F. Next up, we have Giant of Babel, which is Traxos, Scourge of Krug. It's a 4-mana 7/7 legendary artifact creature construct with trample. 4-mana 7/7 trample, amazing. Except for it enters tapped and doesn't untap during your untap step. And whenever you cast a historic spell, untap Giant of Babel. So historic spells are like artifacts or legendary permanents. Or legendary things, I guess. So there are a lot of those historic spells in the set. So that is possible. There's lots of artifacts. We have lots of legendary creatures. So I think this card actually can do lots of work. And, you know, getting this down early and attacking on turn 5 with it is super scary. If you can untap this every single turn after you play it, your opponent is going to scream. It's quite strong. Let's give this like a B. It's a build around for sure, but like a B. Let's give it a B-. I think it's pretty good. and kind of scary. Not necessarily a bomb. Obviously, you need a bunch of other stuff to go around it. But I also remember it being really scary in Dominaria when it was being played there. So good draft card, and yeah, happy to play Traxos for sure. All right, this is our last card. It is Balem Garden Command Beacon. This is a land that taps for colorless. And you can tap it and sacrifice this land. Put your commander into your hand from the command zone. This is a stone, unplayable card. The biggest F you've ever seen. It does literally nothing. It's horrendous. Do not put this card into your deck. Don't take this ever. It really just doesn't do anything ever. You just don't need this card. Yeah, not a good card, obviously. All right, folks, well, that has been the entire bonus sheet for the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering set. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If I rated cards too high or too low, or if your favorite card I said was trash, or my favorite card is one that you hate with a burning passion. Let me know in the comments. Watch all the other videos. There's one for every color, the colorless cards and the multicolor cards. And yeah, thank you all very much for watching. It means a lot to me, and I will see you all next time. Okay, bye.